Hey guys, and welcome back to The Full Later Life, the channel where we encourage everyone to live their full lives and their best lives in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s and beyond. Well, you may remember from my last video that during my training for the Osaka Marathon, I developed this case of plantar fasciitis, and honestly that really was a major setback for me because it felt like every step that I was taking, it was like walking on the end of steak knives or something. It just really wasn't pleasant, and it was really quite painful. And so I kind of felt like I needed to take a break from the training, and so I rested up for most of the rest of that week. Now the problem is when you take a break from training for a race, what tends to happen is you don't just feel like you're resting, it kind of feels like you're moving backwards because you're not putting the work in, you're not putting the energy in, and so you're kind of losing some of that fitness that you built up with the training plan. So I was feeling really antsy and really wanted to get back out there, but I knew that if I did, my foot would continue to hurt more. So I was at a place where I just didn't know what to do. Now the thing about plantar fasciitis is that there really is no clear timelines when it's going to clear up. For some people it takes maybe a couple of weeks, for others it can take several months, and so I was beginning to wonder, is this marathon going to happen? Am I going to be healed up in time? And I really didn't know what the answer was. Now I knew I had to keep some kind of fitness up to get the stamina built up for this marathon, but running really wasn't working out for me. I mean, sure, the midweek runs I could kind of walk, shuffle them a little bit, walk, run, and maybe I could make those distances, but my foot sure felt painful afterwards. And the long runs, not a chance. I mean, that week I had 13 miles to run, that was in the plan, and the week before I'd missed out on my 10-mile run because there was no way I could do it. So I really didn't know what to do. I was at a loss of what to do, to be honest, at that point, but I had to think of something. And so there I was getting very frustrated actually. And I thought, well, at least I could do some strength work. So I was doing some planks and some things like that just to build up my core. I figured at least that's gonna help, but it wasn't helping my cardio or my stamina in any way whatsoever. And then a friend of mine called me up and said, hey, you wanna come to a CicLAvia event this week? And I thought, CicLAvia, that sounds like fun. I mean, and for those that don't know, CicLAvia is basically an event where they close off the streets in LA, and then people show up on bikes and roller skates and one wheels and anything that's not a motorized vehicle. And it's really a street party. There's a lot of food trucks there, bands, and it's a really flat, short, easy cycle ride actually across these streets. And I thought, you know what, I can probably manage that because I'll be on a bike and not running, and it's only short, it's only flat, and heck, if I get hurt, then I could just stop at a taco truck, and who loves tacos when they're feeling down? So I thought, yeah, I'll give that a go. And so I actually went to that CicLAvia with my friend, and we had a really good time. I mean, we weren't going any way fast or anything like that, and it was a really casual ride, maybe 5 miles out, 5 miles back, plus maybe a 10-mile ride for me to get to and from the event to where it started. But you know what, it was fun, it was fun. And the thing about it is we're not riding at a fast pace or anything like that, so I could really make a decision as to whether cycling was going to be good for my foot or not. And of course the great thing about CicLAvia is that there's plenty of places to stop. I mean, there's bands playing on the street corners, there's food trucks everywhere, and man, if you've ever been to LA, this is food truck central. We love our food trucks in LA, and you can get any kind of food you could imagine. Tacos, Vietnamese food, Indian food, you name it, there's a food truck that sells it. And so it was a great event to just get out there, get some exercise, but also experience some culture, and to see if my foot was going to survive a cycling event. And by the end of it, I realized that actually, my foot didn't hurt at all. I mean, except for the dull ache that you're going to get with plantar fasciitis whether you're moving or not. But apart from that, there was no real anything different about the feel of my foot. And so I thought, well, you know what? Maybe what I should do is exchange my long run at least for a bike ride. Because I'd actually been in my training plan, I had to run 13 miles that week, and I'd already missed a 10-mile run from the week before, and so I was feeling a little bit kind of out of sorts really. And I thought, well, if I substitute my run for a cycle ride, then you know what, I could actually still build my stamina and my cardio up without aggravating my injury. So this week I had a 13-mile run to do on my plan, and so I thought, well, if I'm going to substitute for a bike ride, then I'm going to have to do at least a longer bike ride than the run was supposed to be, because 13 miles running is a lot different to 13 miles cycling. You're going to use a lot more energy running 13 miles. And so I figured, well, maybe I should extend that by about 3 or 4 times. Now I was concerned a little bit about climbing, because when you're riding a flat road or downhill, then you pretty much sat in the seat and you're not really doing too much. But when you're climbing, you're going to be standing up in the pedals and pushing down. And I thought, is that going to aggravate my plantar fasciitis and aggravate my foot anymore? But you know what I realized after doing a couple of light climbs was that most of the energy that I'm putting into the pedal was actually from the quads, not from my feet. And because my feet were locked into my shoe, there was not much movement to my foot at all. And so it wasn't really, even the climbs didn't really aggravate my foot that much. Maybe the dull ache felt a little bit more, but that was about it. You know, and so the long runs were coming up for the next couple of weeks, and so I did substitute the runs for a long bike ride. Now, that meant, of course, changing my whole plan, because to do a long run would take maybe an hour, 2 hours at most. To do the long bike ride, it became a whole day excursion. And so I found myself like exploring the city a bit more. I thought, well, you know what, I could stop at these various cafes, or maybe just do a long ride to a brewery halfway across town, stop for lunch. I mean, after all, it's all part of the training, right? So, you know, you got to fuel your ride. So, a burger and a beer at a brewery about 20 miles away from my home. I mean, what's not to like about that? And so that's what I did. And so for the next 2 to 3 weeks, long run day became long ride day. In fact, it became a grand day out, to be sure. And it was a lot of fun. Midweeks, well, you know, I still wanted to stay in touch with my running club, and I still wanted to enjoy the community of running, and I didn't want to go from the running completely. And so on my running club nights, where we used to do only a short 5K anyway, I would go and join them for a run, but I really wasn't running that much. I would run and walk, maybe like jog a little bit, but really take it easy, because I really did not want to aggravate my foot, especially as I was making the effort to not put the aggravation and not put the stress on it in the long runs. And so I decided, even on the short runs, I would just take it really easy. I would jog a little bit, I would walk a little bit and talk with some friends, and that really was all I did for the midweek runs. And I found that maybe it wasn't building my stamina and my condition as much as I would do had I been training the full plan out, but at least I wasn't going backwards, and I was making at least some progress in the training for the marathon. And you know what, it's actually been a lot of fun doing these long bike rides, because I've actually discovered parts of the city that I would never have discovered on a long run. In fact, on a long run, I'm just really focused on the training, but when I'm riding, I'm kind of looking around a little bit more. I'm making it a day out and just making sure that I get all the exercise in, but I'm just enjoying stuff, and exploring different places and finding different places to do long rides, and I'm really enjoying doing that. And I'm on this great bike path today. It's really fantastic. It actually goes all the way to the beach. I'm not going to go to the beach today, but look at these mountains ahead of us. Isn't it beautiful? And I'm still keeping the fitness together, which is really good. So we'll see. So far, my foot is not getting any worse doing it. So I feel like this might be the thing that actually says just maybe this bike riding is going to save my marathon. Well, that's it for today. I really want to thank you guys for joining me on this Osaka Marathon training journey. And I kind of wonder if any of you guys have had an issue where you've had to overcome an injury and make changes to your training for anything. You know, share those stories in the comments, because you know what, we've all been through setbacks and things in our lives, and it'd be great encouragement to see if anyone out there could relate to those stories and maybe get some ideas of how to adapt to at least be able to make your goals by a different route. So share those in the comments, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.